Hey, so wrapped up the install on the Phoenix Prop Retribution hilts. Both of them are fully installed with the included Shadowfoils chassis. So here's one half of the Reva hilts with the cover tuck. And then the other half over here without the cover tuck. So for both of them to access the chassis, the chassis is actually a little bit tight on these ones, so unscrew the pommel from one of them. And I'm going to be including these kind of cylindrical tubes. These help to push the chassis out of place. So let me unscrew the blade plug over here. Loosen that up. So here's your non-illuminated Neopixel connector. And it's a little bit hard to remove, so that's why I included two of these tools. So one of them is longer, and probably can't see, but it says emitter there. And then there's also a channel up here where it's a little flatter. So you want to line this up with the ring, the half ring. Let's see, I think the screw is still sticking out. So that's just a tiny bit. So loosening that up more. So lining up the flat edge with the half ring. And then you want to just gently push it so you can dislodge the chassis. So there's one chassis. Got the Neopixel connector up there, Proffie board, there are two switches. Got the kill switch over here. So currently it's in the off position, facing down. And then when you toggle it up, it's on. So we have our accent Neopixel strips there and there, one on each side. Got our battery holder, as well as the 25mm speaker. So there's one. Also something to note is the tolerances between the two chassis are slightly different. So I marked one of them with some black Sharpie there. This is to pair with the hilt side with the cover tuck on it. Just because the tolerances are slightly off, or slightly different, even though they're supposed to be the same chassis. So there's that one. Gonna remove the blade plug on this one as well. Same thing, non-illuminated Neopixel connector, screw the pommel, use the, let's see, where is it? Emitter tool. So I like to brace the bottom of the hilt so the chassis doesn't fall out. Line up the emitter tool and just push it out. And then the chassis comes out this way. So there's the second chassis. So same thing with this chassis. We've got our Neopixel connector up here, our Proffie board, v3.9, kill switch on the side here, down is in the off position, up is in the on position. Got two switches, as well as the two accent Neopixel strips, battery holder, and the 25mm base speaker. So I'm going to put a battery into this one. So the flat side towards the spring, button top towards the flatter side. Make sure the kill switch is off. And then just slide the battery in. And then flip the kill switch up to turn it on.
Maybe that stench is your failure.
So I have it configured so the accent strips turn on when the blade is on, and when the saber is on. So you can see that side there. On the side there as well. So there is a ignition and a traction effect, but otherwise it's a stable red color. So transfer the chassis. Be careful that these pins don't touch any metal. in the hilts. You want to line up these two switches along with the two plunger switches over here. So just be careful when inserting it. And then once it gets about here, it's going to be a little bit harder to push it in. So I printed another tool to help push the chassis in so that you're not pushing against the speaker. So this one's a little bit shorter, it's labeled pommel there. So just push that in. And then it should sit about there. You should see about maybe like 2 threads or so, 2 or 3. So the chassis on both of them are a little bit sensitive in that if you don't push it in all the way, it's not going to line up with the plungers, as well as if you screw the pommels in too far, it might actually misalign it a little bit. So when screwing on the pommel, just screw it in enough so you feel a little bit friction, and then rotate it a little bit more, and then just kind of play around the plungers, make sure that they're still aligned. So that one's still aligned. Good. So there's one. So the accent LED strips that we have on the chassis shine through these kind of diffusion kind of channels there. We got smooth swing, blaster block, flash and flash. I didn't turn on gesture controls for this. So let's put a blade in this hilt, and then I'll show off both the hilts as well as the staff configuration. So I unfortunately don't have a shorter blade that fits in this hilt, so I'm going to be using a 28-inch blade that I have lying around. So that was just on this test config. I have blade protection set up. So, tightening the blade down just a bit, like so. And blaster blocks. Currently at 2000 volume on the 25mm speaker. Decent. So I'm going to switch this blade over to the other one, just to show off that hilt as well, and then I'll show off the staff configuration. So, same thing with this chassis as well. Just pop the battery in. Flat side towards the spring, button top towards the flatter side. Pop that in.
They were the only family I knew.
Flip the kill switch on. And then similar to the other one, make sure that these switches are aligned with the plungers. And try not to short these pins against the hilts. So lining that up there. The CoverTech one is a little bit tighter, so you're going to want to use this pommel insertion tool. Just press against the rim of the chassis so you're not pressing against the speaker. So let's tighten that up. And then I'll put a blade in this. And tighten that up. Again, blaster blocks, over smooth swing. Let's make sure your accent swings on this. And this kind of confined space. Like that. And then I'm going to show off the staff configuration. There's a few notes I have on that as well. So we have our two hilts here, as well as the magnetic ring attachment and the adjustable coupler. So to assemble it in a staff configuration, remove the pommel on one of them. I'm going to take your adjustable coupler. I kind of want to slide these adjustable rings out enough so the coupler screws in fully. And then I like to start screwing in the coupler on the one without the cover tech. So just screw that in. And so you kind of feel that it's pushing against the chassis. So instead of tightening the thread coupler itself all the way in, it's better to tighten these adjustable clucking rings instead. Because if you tighten the threaded coupler too much, it might actually misalign switches. So like that. Then remove the pommel for this one. I like to loosen this clocking ring as well. And then just carefully screw it on. I would go slowly with this one just because like the threads are a little bit worn already. So as you're screwing in the hilts, you can back up the timing ring until it's clocked. So currently fully screwed in, it's kind of aligned this way. So if you want to clock it back this way, I suggest just rotating the hilts and then do the final adjustments using the clocking ring instead of fully trying to rotate the hilts. So tighten the clocking ring until they're pretty much aligned. Make sure that the buttons still work. And then take your magnetic ring, insert it this way. So this time I actually went in easily. So how I put it in is kind of hold one hilt, put the magnetic ring in on one of them, and then if it's misaligned a little bit, you can kind of like pull the hilt out a bit, and then lock the other one in place. And then to tighten even further, you just tighten the clocking rings. See, pretty solid. Do the buttons still work? Yep. So this is the case that happens when the chassis is kind of misaligned. So I got the two hilts pretty much clocked where I want them to be. So instead of fully tightening the coupler with the non-cover tech one, I just have it loosely kind of coupled together. That way the buttons are not misaligned. So auxiliary works on this one, auxiliary works on that one. And then, once they're somewhat aligned, whoop, that actually went in pretty easily. Once they're somewhat aligned, you can put the remaining half ring in with one of them, and then you kind of push the magnetic ring into the other one. And then once that is in place, you can kind of tighten the two timing shims. So let me put a blade into one of them. Let's with that. So if you notice, I actually have like a big elastic band here that helps me kind of loosen the timing shims if I need to. Just because when you tighten both of them in, the coupler might actually tighten too much into one of the hilts, so I need that elastic band to give me some grip on it to remove the ring. So tighten that up. Lock it. Unfortunately, I don't have a second blade to test with this one. But we've seen that it works on both ends. So, there you go. So yeah, it's a little bit difficult to get them coupled together, but just make sure when you put in the coupler, don't screw it in all the way on both hilts, screw it in just enough, and then do the final adjustments using these two timing shims. And then also rely on the actual magnetic ring itself to kind of keep them aligned. So yeah, I'll wait for the configs as well as the sound fonts you want to be loaded on the saber, but if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. If you have any, if you want any other tips on how to get this more easily manageable, feel free to let me know, and I'll try to get this shipped out to you as soon as possible. Thank you.